Welcome to Theme Weavers, your weekly wisdom for weaving yoga themes into your classes to inspire your students. I'm your host, Heidi Kasner. Let's get started. Welcome back to Theme Weavers. I'm so excited for today's episode because I totally love how this class I taught this week came together. I literally had no clue what I was going to teach or where it was going to go, but it just completely worked. So I want to walk you through how it went, and I'm curious what you think. I'm going to talk to you all as if you were my students in the yoga barn with me right now. We're out here. It's nice and chilly out. I have my scarf on. I'm all cozy and ready to go. So here we are. Welcome. Who here can find themselves being a little vindictive? I promise I'll make this about yoga, but let me tell you a little story. And I'm so sorry if my next door neighbor is listening to this right now. Maybe I shouldn't really share this entire story in case he is listening. I can hear him blowing his leaves right now, but I'm going to anyway. I doubt that he's listening, but if so, I apologize. When we were doing work on the yoga barn where we are now, one of the contractors accidentally drove a little bit on my next door neighbor's grass with two of his truck tires, like the left side of the truck's tires. There was like the truck bed full of rocks, and I guess it was heavy. And I will let you know, my next door neighbor really meticulously cares about his grass, and we want to keep him happy. I understand this. So as soon as we noticed, we ran out and we told them that my neighbor doesn't want us on his grass at all during the work, and it might be inconvenient, but we have to be mindful of that. But the damage had already been done. That crushed stone that was in the back of the truck bed made it heavy. And of course, my next door neighbor noticed that there was a divot in the grass. There's two little divots. He asked that we would fix it once the work was completed. And we said we'd wait till the end in case anything else happens, but we'll do our best to be really mindful neighbors. And we had to be very careful throughout the entire process. I know, like, it was technically his property, but the barn is on the edge of his property. It's a very old barn, and we have an easement on the back corner. Not really the point of the story, but he does have claim to the little bit of grass that they were on. I understand. Well, flash forward to a few weeks ago. This was like back in April. Now it's November or December by now. The work has been done for a while, and we totally forgot that this happened. It happened. It was back in the early spring, and since then the grass had grown and it looked totally fine to me. I barely even saw anything. Well, a few weeks ago, my neighbor reached out and he said he wanted to meet to discuss how we plan to fix his grass. I asked my husband to do that little conversational meeting because I was kind of busy, and my husband went out and looked, and I looked with him beforehand. We barely saw anything, but we agreed we would lay some grass seed to try to regrow the small patch. He asked us to hire a landscaper so it's done properly. And we had a landscaper here anyway, helping me with some of the landscaping around the barn. And we asked them, and they said, it's not the right time to do this. We're going into winter. We can look at it in the spring. Okay, so time will have gone by. But, it's winter in Massachusetts. It gets snowy anyway. Well, here's where I got a little bit vindictive. Last week, he had his driveway torn up and repaved. And in the process, all of the huge trucks were parked on my property, and they blocked the area where my students park for class. Like, I very mindfully have areas where they can park so it doesn't disturb the neighborhood. Okay, whatever, no big deal. I let them know ahead of time. Then for 2 days, he couldn't use his driveway. So get this, he parked his pickup truck that he drives on his grass right to the left of the area that he wants us to fix. I told my husband it took everything out of me not to complain and tell my neighbor how hypocritical the whole situation was. But I realize that vindictive part of me that now doesn't want to fix the grass at all was reacting to the situation, not responding. I was being reactive, not super yogic of me, but I didn't want to do it anymore. I didn't think I should have to fix the grass because he's ruining his own grass. Why should I have to fix mine? Okay, well, yoga gives us this opportunity to observe ourselves and recognize where we are responding and where we are reacting. In fact, the entire system of yoga, as laid out at least by Patanjali, begins with this very idea. One of the most famous sutras, in my opinion, The definition of yoga itself is found in the first chapter, Yoga Chitta Vritti Nirodhaḥ. This is Sutra 1.2, and it's translated to yoga is the cessation or the restraint of the fluctuations of the mind. All right, so let's break down those tricky Sanskrit words because they are key to understanding the neighbor situation that I found myself in. Chitta is the mind stuff. It's the consciousness, the field of your thoughts. Vritti is the fluctuations. This is the chaos. These are the waves on the surface of the mind. In my story, the vritti was the immediate knee-jerk judgmental voice that shouted, "Oh, no, he didn't. He parked on his grass. Now I am totally justified in being petty and not fixing his tiny patches." That's the fluctuations, the uncontrolled mental storm. Nirodhaḥ, and the cessation or the restraint. This is the pause. This is the conscious effort to stop the chaotic waves from crashing into a negative action. So when we put it all together, the practice of yoga is about training your mind to stop the chaos, the vrittis, and to find that restraint, Nirodhaḥ, that inner silence. Well, yoga gives us this opportunity then to observe ourselves and to recognize where we are responding and where we are reacting. I was told once, actually by one of my students, shout out to Anne Barra Lawrence, that it takes only 90 seconds for us to calm the brain out of our initial reaction and get to make an informed response that can be in alignment with how we want to show up in the world. 90 seconds might seem long to some of us, but to others, it's almost no time at all. Do you remember that quote that Viktor Frankl said? He said, "Between stimulus and response, there is a space. And in that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom." Yoga gives us that opportunity to find that space, and often all it takes is 90 seconds. We get to carve out the time to truly see if we are acting in or out of alignment with how we want to be showing up in this world. Before we keep going, I want to pause for a quick moment and say that if you're enjoying Theme Weavers, it would mean so much if you would follow the show and leave a 5-star review wherever you listen. It truly matters for the algorithm, and it helps the podcast get recommended to more teachers and students who might really benefit from this work. You can also find Theme Weavers on all the social channels. I try to share short reels and teaching nuggets there throughout the week. There is also an option to become a paid subscriber of Theme Weavers for a small monthly fee. Not only does it show your support, but if you're a chromatic yoga teacher, your paid subscription actually allows you to track your listening as continued education hours. If you have questions about that, please email me at themeweaverspodcast@gmail.com. And if you want to go deeper and work with me online, all of the links are in the show notes below. Check out Theme Weavers Academy. It's a practical course to help you craft more impactful classes with clarity and confidence. You can also explore my book, Energize Your Life, a chakra workbook for personal transformation. And if you're leading a yoga teacher training program, I do offer a half-day workshop on the chakra system and how to integrate it into theming. It's one of my favorite things to teach. And finally, there are my bite-sized yoga programs, short, under 11-minute chromatic yoga classes, as well as bite-sized yoga self-myofascial release. It combines using self-myofascial release tools with yoga. Both are lifetime access. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. And let's get back to the episode. We get to carve out the time to truly see if we are acting in or out of alignment with how we want to be showing up in this world. I certainly do not want to show up as the person that is very vindictive about my neighbor's patch of grass. Well, yoga gives us that opportunity to find that space. And as I said, often all it takes is 90 seconds of finding Nirodhaḥ in the middle of the mental storm. We get to carve out the time to truly see if we are acting in or out of alignment with how we want to be in this world. So that's what we're going to practice today. For some of us, it might be a practice that we're used to. I remember when I first started to meditate, 90 seconds of quiet felt like a long time. Like I'd peek down at my watch and see how long it's been. After just 30 seconds, I got fidgety and I wondered when the timer was going to go off, but I practiced and it got easier most of the time, not every time. Today, we're going to practice not necessarily just meditation, but practice giving ourselves enough time to notice where we react and how that can shift to response. And I would like to use my timer on my watch to give us a full 90 seconds. Sometimes that 90 seconds will be in easier postures than others. So that way we can see how it feels to carve out the space to breathe, to find that space. In more restful poses, it might not be that hard. But if I ask you to stand on one foot for 90 seconds, your mind might go through a whole host of reactions. It might want to quit. It might get annoyed or mad that I'm making you, or at least just offering you, to hold something for a long time, saying unkind things to yourself or judging yourself if you fall out. But then there's that moment when the muscles start to tremble, that the mind does the same. It starts to quake as you try to challenge it. That you get to go past the reaction and choose to respond. It's pretty powerful. It's so powerful, by the way, that I taught this class on Tuesday morning. And now they've asked me to teach it again on Wednesday and today on Thursday. And somebody also, same person, requested to take it Friday. She's been to 4 classes this week with this exact same theme. And she says each time it gets more and more powerful. And she's like, oh my gosh, I went into this experience where I didn't even remember that there were other people in the room. And then class ends and all of a sudden I was like, oh my God, where do these people come from? Like she just went so into her own experience. It was cool. So at that point I started the class and everything was incredible, like very basic postures, but really challenging in terms of focus and connection to the theme. I said a few times this phrase when we were holding postures for 90 seconds, something along the lines of notice the moment where the mind wants to react to what I'm asking you to do. Can you then carve the space to try to calm the mental storm that might be showing up and choose to respond in alignment with how you want to be in this world? Other than that, my poses and cues were quite simple. But I did give us time of 90 seconds in each of my layering poses that I offered to feel this theme come alive. It started with 90 seconds of me cueing slow and steady breath while lying on the back one of the days, and another day in seated. Then we flowed a little bit and held different postures for 90 seconds where I gave that thematic 3-line phrase either during or after the 90 seconds. Sometimes it was during, sometimes it was right after. We found the first day that I did this, that when I gave a warning for how much time was left, that it makes the challenges feel almost impossible and made people begin to react. It was kind of interesting. But we held the 90 seconds in downward facing dog, in chair pose twice, in active runner's lunge, in crescent lunge, in airplane pose, and then in victory pose. That was the first day. The second day, I changed it to be around, we did rotation, like chair twists, lunge twists, and then what did we hold? What was our peak pose? Let me try and remember. Oh, it was like twisting and figure fours was the theme. So we also held a balancing figure 4. And then we also held a half moon pose. So it was a lot of outer hips with twisting and with figure 4 type variations. And then in today's version of it, it was all about back bends, upward facing dog. We did dancers on our stomachs, on our sides, and then the peak pose of dancers in balance. So it was a lot of axial extension and bowing of the spine. It was cool. I don't know yet what I'm going to do tomorrow, but they want the same type class, just different poses. So it's pretty fun how you can shift it and change it. So then I asked them to observe the difference when we held more restful poses like Supta Baddha Konasana, reclined butterfly pose for 90 seconds at the end. It was a pretty amazing class, especially because of how challenging it can be to hold a relatively common pose that you might have done a lot of times before in your life and have a totally different level of awareness through the process because you're holding it for 90 seconds and you know it's going to be 90 seconds. It was interesting. The last thing that I did was, after guiding the students out of Shavasana toward the end, I reminded them that they worked really hard to train their minds today, that no matter the pose that we were in or how long we held them, that we practice recognizing the moments that the vrittis tried to take over, those moments when the mind started to react to the challenges that I was offering to them. We had the opportunity to consciously choose Nirodhaḥ, the restraint, the pause, the space, in order to find the response that aligned with the way that we truly wanted to be. Then, as we were getting ready to roll up our mats and head out into the rest of our days, that is your single piece of practice. The yoga isn't over. Our practice begins the moment we face our next stimulus, whether it's driving out of here in rush hour traffic, a difficult email that you receive or have to send, or maybe even a slightly passive-aggressive neighbor. Sorry, Steve. When the chaotic mental fluctuation, that vritti, starts up, give yourself those 90 full seconds. Find your breath, find your Nirodhaḥ, and choose your response in alignment with the best version of yourself, the you that you want to be. In that space lies your growth and your freedom. So this class has gone on for a week now and people are loving it. And I just wanted to share it with you all, because if you've never done a class like that before, I think it's really powerful. And that's what I wanted to share with you. And I hope that this inspires you both in your own practice, so that way you can try and find the moments that you react rather than respond, and maybe choose to bring the same practice to your students if you're a teacher. Practice is not meant to be easy. It's meant to be effortful. And this work is definitely no different. It's maybe a different kind of effort than a wheel pose, but it's effort. I'm really looking forward to sharing another theme with you all next week. And if you don't mind taking some time to comment wherever you listen to the episode, or reach out, whether on social media or email or someplace else, love the feedback and would love to hear from you. It makes sitting alone in a bar and talking to my own face on a camera a little bit more enjoyable. But hey, at least I'm not in my closet anymore like I was last season. This is exciting. I have a nice big space, and hopefully my voice is not super echoey. Let me know if the quality of the recording is an issue. I hope not. All right, have a beautiful day, and I leave you in peace. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll see you next week with a new theme and inspiration to bring to your yoga practice and your teaching. See you next time.